For bucking horses to succeed in rodeo work, their success begins with the breeder at an early age. As co-owner of the Bucking Horse Breeders Association, Steve Stone's love of bucking horses led him to launch the organization, dedicated to the preservation of these fine equine athletes.
Out there, lie down. This is more me than the music.
When he's not working horses, Steve tours the country as a bass player for the Casey Donahue Band.
I can tell you this, even though I've been playing music for a living for the past decade or so, I'm a way better farrier than I am bass player.
Yeah.
I studied farrier tech, and I shod horses for 20 years. So I would shoe horses all week and leave on the weekends, and we'd go play music. And so that was kind of a hobby that turned into, for the past decade or so or better, that's what I've been doing for a living, is playing music. And so I kind of have the same schedule as a rodeo guy. The good thing about having a hobby like having a few bucking horses is you don't have to have hundreds of acres. Unlike having bucking bulls, for instance, you don't have to have 8-foot tall pens to hold bucking bulls, you know. When you have a few bucking horses, you can have a few acres, just buy good bred colts, and you can have a pretty good time with it. Whoa, son. Whoa, son.
Turn around. Turn around. It's all right.
Yeah, there you go. Where I got my start was my son was 15 and wanted to ride bucking horses. And I said, well, if you want to ride bucking horses, we're going to at least get some.
Pretty much anything we do around here, it's like 100% everything. So, I mean, whatever I do, whatever my sister does, whatever my mom does, it's all commitment. They support everything, so it's great having a good support system.
In high school, he rode bareback horses, and then he got a rodeo scholarship, go to college, and then he left college after one semester and went in the Army. He's in the 101st Airborne, not riding bucking horses much in Afghanistan.
You can't go down the road and ride and do all this stuff with horses if you don't respect them, because you respect them, they'll respect you, you know. It matures you. It'll help you out in the long run, I think.
Kids are ahead if they ride bucking horses growing up, because you have got to give 100% all the time, and you've got to be dedicated or you get hurt, you know. They grow up a lot faster around the bucking horse industry or rodeo industry in general. When kids are taking care of animals, there's just a responsibility that comes with all that just prepares them for life. We'll buck 2 or 3 colts today. 2 of them will be just weanlings. They're not even a year old. We won't buck them very long, but we just want to see if they've got some kick to them, if they want to buck. If they don't buck, well, we'll rest them for, 3 or 4 or 5 months, and we'll give them another shot. And then if they don't buck, then that's when we start halter breaking them. But hopefully they will buck. We'll see.
Oh, you're all right. You're all right. Oh, baby. Oh, you're good.
We'll just have to take our time with him.
Yeah,
Take your time when it touches his belly and stuff. I mean, he's all new.
Oh, you're all right.
Whenever he was younger, I'd get him in here, and he'd squeal like a pig if you just touched him.
Yeah.
Clicker here in my pocket, so that's a remote-controlled dummy. All right, Bubba. It's not hurting these horses to buck them. They're bred to buck. They want to buck. The same way a racehorse wants to run. The same way a cutting horse looks at a cow. We're not making them buck, I can tell you. Either they want to or they don't. If you knew exactly how to make one buck, I'd like to see that. Now, this is going to happen kind of quick, because once we get him pulled, we're going to go.
Yeah. Flank, kind of flank.
I barely had any flank.
Yeah.
And that was barely any flank. First trip. We started the BHBA March or May of 2016. We were going to futurities with our colts, and I was listening to how the other guys were talking about how their colts were bred, the sires and the dams, and how good they were bred. And my question to them, in my ignorance, was, is there a registry? They said, no, there's not. Well, that got me to thinking, it seems to me like they're having these futurities with no registry, with no proof, with no DNA verification of how these horses are bred is the cart before the horse. But we're a year into it, we're 700 horses registered and still gaining momentum. That was impressive, man. And that's a gentle baby, too. It went good today. We never know how it's going to go, especially with weanlings. Sometimes they buck a little bit and fall down because they can't get their footing, or they'll just run off. You just never know. So, no, I was pleased. So now that we bucked them once and we know they're going to buck, we'll turn them out and we won't buck them again until next year. We may not even get them up again. They may stay in the pasture for another year or so before we get them up, try them again. But we know what we're working with. Horses have always been a part of my life, and I love them. I could probably live without music more than I could without horses. And that's the truth. I'll just ranch out here and just be good with that.